think it's time to go home. Or, Luckily, Central Station offers you ample choice if you don't want to go home just yet. And when they renovated the station in the early 2010s, they added this handy balcony to make it easier to pick something you like, and maybe do some quick train spotting as well. So let's just grab one of these and go dive under a river. This river, in fact, the Nieuwe Maas. After the train comes back to the surface, it passes the stadium of the Feyenoord Football Club. There is a station here, but it is only open in the run-up and in the aftermath of games. Today it is used to turn around trains without clogging Central Station. Onwards, the line from Europe's largest seaport joins, and some complicated track spaghetti later spills into the Kaifoot marshalling yard, where trains from the port get reshuffled and sent on their way wide and far. My train, meanwhile, crosses another river, the Oude Maas, arrives in Dordrecht and terminates. There are plenty options onwards. They all leave within a few minutes though, so there is no time to have a look at the town and barely enough to look at the station from the footbridge. I opt for this local train, heading first south and then east. It soon has yet another river to cross. We are in the Rhine Delta after all, where such should be expected. This one is even more impressive, a tidal river called Hollands Diep. When the railway arrived here first, they decided to not even try to build a bridge. It took nearly 20 years before a bridge finally opened, but it was such a great success that there are now 3. The one we are on for the classic railway line, the one over there for the high-speed line, and behind that, a motorway bridge. Beyond the river, the train settles into the archetypical Dutch travel experience. Busy fields and small villages, the odd forest, the occasional city. Eventually, we arrive at the next big railway junction where I jump ship. This is the station of 's-Hertogenbosch, bane of all timetable app makers. The name is spelled starting with an apostrophe, then a small letter and then a hyphen. That's bound to break in all kinds of creative ways. Ironically, nobody around here actually uses the full name. Instead, the shorter form Den Bosch is used. So, not only does your app need to deal with the funky spelling, it also needs to support alternative names. To make the confusion complete, the town has yet another name, Oeteldonk, but it is only used for a few days during Carnival. So let's go and have a look at this city of the many names. First, as with any self-respecting city in the Netherlands, we have to cross a canal to get from the train station to the heart of the city. The center is rather lively on this Saturday morning. Market Square is serving its purpose and is hosting a market. The most popular booth is one that sells the local speciality of worstebroodjes, a sausage roll of sorts, but with minced meat filling rather than a sausage. Wandering beyond the market square, you'll come across 2 churches. First, the Grote Kerk, or Big Church, which, in a rather obvious twist, is the smaller of the 2. That it is smaller shouldn't really be surprising though, since it is the Protestant church in the predominantly Catholic region. The Catholic Church, meanwhile, is really rather quite big and loud. The Cathedral Church of St. John is considered the zenith of the Brabantine Gothic and apparently has a really rather pretty interior. Unfortunately, Mass is currently being held, so we can't go in and check. So let's instead go and have a look at the Ferris wheel on the square right next door. It only occurs to me now, as I am writing this voiceover script, that I should have gone for a ride to get some nice aerial shots of the inner city. Instead, I have a look at the map and something else catches my eye. The city's official name, 's-Hertogenbosch, translates as the Duke's Forest. The Duke in question is that of Brabant. While the heart of his fief was further south, in Leuven, he decided at the close of the 12th century that he wanted to have a city in these parts of the, woods. His main motivation was to have defenses against his northern neighbors, the Gelders. They promptly responded by coming over and burning down the new city, which to the Duke proved that he was right. The city was rebuilt, only now with proper defenses. In the early 17th century, a bastion was added. So the northern neighbors, now the Dutch Republic, decided to come over again, only this time they kept the city and all the northern parts of Brabant to boot. Which, with a couple of more twists during the next centuries, explains why North Brabant is now a province in the Netherlands, while the rest of it is part of Belgium. The bastion, meanwhile, clearly hadn't been up to snuff and was duly demolished and replaced by a citadel. This citadel. Now, outdated too, it is a meticulously kept park, no walking on the lawn, and also the Brabantine Historic Information Centre. Sadly, and curiously, it is closed on the weekend, so no information for me. For the locals, it seems to primarily serve as a more pleasant walking path from the centre to the northern neighbourhoods by way of this bridge. While I wander the ramparts, the sky starts to suggest that it might be time to get back to the station. I don't quite make it before the rain arrives. But naturally, it stops as soon as I enter the station building and find my train onwards. This train is heading south again. It passes through the city of Eindhoven, and a bit further south, somewhere in the fields, it crosses into a new province, Limburg. It too is split between countries. In the aftermath of Napoleon, in the early 19th century, the province was created. But soon it was split again, when the southern parts of the newly formed United Netherlands, who were both French speakers and Catholic, decided that they had enough of a king who hated both French speakers and Catholics and invented Belgium. The Netherlands kept the eastern part of Limburg along the River Maas, which a train crosses just before reaching the town of Roermond. It continues south towards the city of Maastricht, passing by the huge chemical factory of the Dutch state mines, which would be interesting to have a look at. When the state sold part of its operation, the complex was renamed to Camelot. On second thought, let's not go to Camelot. It is a silly place. Instead, here at Sittard, a quick cross-platform transfer to a train that looks suspiciously similar, but is actually heading to Heerlen. Heerlen has the most quirky train station in all of the Netherlands, but I only have time for this quick pan over its forecourt, and you have to take my word for it. It is getting late, and I really have to make the 4-minute transfer to catch this train, since the next one has been cancelled. The train promptly leaves through the outskirts of Heerlen and soon crosses into Germany, where it starts to do German things.
Meine Damen und Herren, die Weiterfahrt verzögert sich noch ein wenig.
Eventually, it does get going again and arrives at the station of Aachen West. Being the same walking distance away from the city centre and central station, but avoiding the risk of being stuck for another 10 minutes, I leave the train here. To get into the city centre, you first have to pass through the remnants of 70s city planning in order to enter into the neighbourhood that also serves as the local university's sort of campus. The university is the oldest institute of technology in then Prussia, and some of its buildings proudly proclaim the fact. Others, less proudly so. And yet others seem to want to point out that the school is more than just a past. Arriving in the center, I realize that I had forgotten that it is December, and that this means one thing in every German city: Christmas market. Aachens seems extremely popular, particularly for people from Belgium, if all the French being spoken is anything to go by. One of the reasons might be a local baked good, Aachener Printen, which is a bit like gingerbread and apparently comes in a rather large number of varieties. These Printen are so important that they erected a statue for them outside Town Hall. If you keep fighting your way through the masses, you may arrive at the building that gave Aachen its French name Aix-la-Chapelle, the Chapelle. It and its predecessors have been here basically forever. Before it became a Christian church, there was a Roman spa here, and the Romans likely weren't first either. The current church goes back to no other than Charlemagne. When he decided to make Aachen the center of his kingdom, it needed a proper church. The result was this central section. With its mosaics, its circular layout, and the octagon tower on top, it has very strong Byzantine vibes. Then, in the 14th century, they decided that this wasn't quite impressive enough and added the Gothic choir. It certainly is bigger, but it is somewhat lacking in the mosaic department. The cathedral certainly is worth nosing around in a bit longer, but there are just too many people to make that fun, so I decide to leave. Just across the street is a backup church of sorts. Erected so the riffraff has their own place of worship, to this day it is a rather more somber affair. But neither of these churches are the main attraction of Aachen. That would be, without a doubt, Hühnerbein's model railway shop. By now, night is falling fast. Presumably, thanks to all the Christmas market goers, hotel prices in Aachen are insane tonight, and I can't quite end my day yet. Instead, I go to Central Station after all sparkly in the Advent darkness. A dozen minutes on this red and very busy train takes me to the nearby town of Eschweiler. Here, Main Street is like you would expect it to be in Germany after the shops have closed, abandoned. There's just one final river to cross on my way to the hotel, and tomorrow I will definitely go home.